It's September 1890, and you're in Dijon, waiting for a train. You are Louis Le Prince, and you have done something extraordinary, something that will change the world forever. You have created motion pictures. 2 years ago, you pointed a camera of your own design at your in-laws and filmed them on a strip of Kodak paper roll film, walking in circles, laughing. The product will one day be known as the oldest surviving film. You did this 4 years before Thomas Edison, years before anyone else. You have the cameras, you have the film, and you have a patent for the process. All you need now is a public demonstration to create a record of you as the sole inventor of the movies. It's waiting for you across the Atlantic, where your wife has booked a theater in Manhattan. Your brother has walked you here from his house. You've been arguing about money. He owes you money from the sale of your late mother's house, and he'll be the last person to see you, because you will never arrive in New York. No body is ever found, no luggage, no explanation. The conductor doesn't remember you. Your brother cooperates with the investigation and denies all involvement. The search will go on for years. Within weeks, Thomas Edison files a claim that says, in effect, he made your camera first, despite there being no paper trail to prove that. Your son testifies in court that you are the creator of the movies, but the judge rules for Edison because he's Thomas Edison, and he's still alive. 3 years later, your son is found dead on a beach under mysterious circumstances. Your wife will spend the rest of her life saying that you were both murdered by the same people. And you, the man who invented the movies, you become a footnote. This is Wait a Second, the case of the disappearing scientists, and more. Hi, I'm Jason Concepcion. As always, that's Tyler Parker.
Hello.
And we are so happy to be joined by the man who's coming off the intense heat of CR month, Chris Ryan.
But I didn't do heat.
That's true.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Was that discussed? Was that a possibility?
It was talked about. It was thrown around. I mean, we always are doing heat when you think about it. But it's great to be here. It's great to be back.
Any plans for heat too?
I mean, personal plans?
Yeah.
I actually have thought about going to Chicago to see if I can get like just to see it happen.
I'm on board.
Yeah.
If I could just be like a little fly on the wall as he flips a truck or something, I just want to see it.
Well, today we're going to be discussing a grab bag of very wild stories. It's the full doomscroll episode. And we've each come with a selection of very strange stories, and we'll be answering some reader selections of various weird questions they have about conspiracy theories that they might have, or various questions for the group. But let's start here with the missing scientist. This has been the most asked
passion
for
project of yours.
This has been the most asked for story to cover. To date, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 scientists. And I'm going to note up front that the title scientist is being applied very loosely under this particular conspiracy theory. That said, scientists involved in either national security, advanced weaponry, advanced physics, etc., have gone missing in the last 2 or so years. Anthony Chavez vanished from Los Alamos on foot, left his wallet, keys, and phone behind. No foul play suspected. Specific role and clearances not disclosed, remains missing. Monica Reza, up in the LA National Forest, vanished while hiking.
This is a crazy one.
There are a few of them that are crazy. Only a beanie and lip balm recovered. Unclear, she remains missing. Melissa Cassius, June 26, 2025, administrative assistant at Los Alamos National Laboratory, where they do a lot of nuclear research and advanced energy research. Last seen walking alone on the highway near Talpa, New Mexico, without her phone, wallet, or keys.
Which I do a lot. I think a lot of people walk alone along highways.
But you bring your wallet and keys.
Oh, well, yeah. You gotta be too careful.
Jason Thomas, December 12th, 2025, assistant director of chemical biology at Novartis, disappeared from Wakefield, Massachusetts. Nuno Loririo, sorry to the family of Nuno Loririo, who is probably the most famous deceased member on this list. He was killed by the gunman who went on the shooting spree up at Brown University.
Yeah.
There is a murder-suicide at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Carl Grillmere,
This is
Caltech astrophysicist, shot and killed on the front porch of his home in Lano, California.
in the Antelope Valley,
In the
where there
Antelope
really
Valley.
is not a whole lot going on.
Yes. William McCasland is our UFO
Yes.
adjacent Air Force Major General who vanished from his Albuquerque home, leaving behind his phone and glasses, but he took his revolver with him. Remains missing. And Michael David Hicks, July 2023. This is the other thing. They're starting to, people are like unearthing, look at this scientist now from a couple years ago. NASA JPL astronomer, worked on the DART mission, died at 59, no cause of death or autopsy publicly released, but is part of the cluster. Now,
Is the MIT guy in this?
the MIT guy is in this.
Okay.
That's Nuno.
Okay.
That's the guy whose former classmate from Portugal is the one.
Yes, and he was the director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center, so working on alternative sources of energy, which is, I believe, a movie. Wasn't that a movie where some guy invented a like
Keanu
a
Reeves
fusion
and Morgan
reactor?
Freeman.
That's the one.
That was like Andrew Davis's follow-up to The Fugitive, or it was a couple years after that. And Rachel Weisz and Keanu Reeves are on the run because he's like invented
'Cause he
clean
invented-
energy or something.
That's the exact one.
What's happening in Spider-Man 2, though? What's Doc Ock building in
Doc
that
Ock
river?
was-
He's doing some shit, right?
Very similarly was working on clean energy as well, and as was Tony Stark throughout the Avengers movies. Now,
It truly sucks when anything in life is like, oh, that's like Dark Knight. Or Dark Knight Rises, like where that's Morgan Freeman invented Anthropic and was like, I gotta shut this down.
now, having looked at these, I only think 3 of them are truly weird, and we can get into it. But the people who left their keys, various versions of left my keys and disappeared, and then the Major General who worked on UFOs and advanced aircraft who left with only his gun, who I believe is in China.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a real get ready to learn Chinese.
Yeah, I believe he's in Beijing. And the other 3 who disappeared, it's unclear what happened, but those are really the only mysterious ones to me. How much have you guys been keeping up on this?
One of the things that's been weird about these stories is that I only really see them covered in the Daily Mail. Like,
That's always
it's-
a red flag.
Well, but it's just also difficult because you're
Yeah.
like, where is this being covered? And then if you want to get really like kind of weird about it, you can be like, well, why isn't it being covered in the New York Times or somewhere else? Like, what do they know? But it just seems like this is a little bit more elevated than National Enquirer reporting. That's my assessment. But like,
Right.
I am enjoying. First of all, sorry to all the families, but I am enjoying the efforts to connect all the dots.
Same. And I think a lot of this is because it resonates with the kind of general knowledge that it has been open season on nuclear scientists in parts of the world. Certainly Iran.
Sure.
Those guys have been getting knocked off in crazy ways, including a autonomous machine gun at one point on the highway. Did you know about that?
I did not know about that.
So
Autonomous machine guns are not something I don't have a ton of familiarity with them. You know what I mean?
that's like the Jackal remake, I believe, when Jack Black gets killed by one of these autonomous machine guns.
Bruce Willis hits him off.
So yeah, the Israeli spies put an autonomous machine gun on the highway, trained, I guess, and set it up and left in a car. They put it in a car, and it was, I guess, trained on this scientist's vehicle. He was going on vacation, and it opened up and it wiped him out.
So the idea here is that some of these people were, in your estimation, might be have defected to China. But then
I think
there's
one has defected to China, and that's purely baseless speculation on my part.
And then there's almost two categories. There's inexplicable crimes against them, and then there is inexplicable disappearances / I left my wallet, keys, and phone at home and haven't been seen since.
Right. So those are the ones that I think are legitimately mysterious, and I would file under the perhaps they are in Beijing type of situation, although at least in a few of the cases, like the family members are like, she was going through stuff.
Sure.
That said, all of the murders are, and I'm sorry to for the fans of this conspiracy theory, there's a friend of mine sent me this blog post Substack called the Sentinel Briefing, which does like UFO stuff.
Some pretty intense stuff on that website.
And they did a full workup of a data analysis, they called it, of like these deaths. And I mean, sadly, the deaths are just like tragic things. The gentleman who was killed in Antelope Valley, that was like, under the telling of this conspiracy theory, it was like the gunman was picked up like earlier in the week. He had a gun.
Threatening his, like, he was on his property with a rifle.
Yeah, just wandering around. They picked him up and let him go. And so it's like, why'd they let him go? Because the gun laws here in the U.S. are terrible and police mess up a lot. And he returned and shot the guy. It seems pretty open and shut. That guy's in jail. Another one of these, the Wright-Patterson incident, is a murder-suicide that was clearly like a domestic situation.
Love triangle thing,
Love
right?
triangle type of situation.
Wright-Patterson is the same place that McCaslin.
Well, this is why people are kind of
This is why, right? But it was a year earlier. And then the Nuno Loria murder was this obsessed ex-classmate situation that was admittedly very, very strange.
Right. So you could probably do the same thing where it's like 6 accountants also went missing or got murdered in the last 2 years. But I think people are probably also trying to draw connective tissue between these disappearances and tragedies and UFOs, right? Like, weren't like all these people, like, if you decode some of their jobs, it's like, was this guy working on extraterrestrial life, or did he have the alloy from a spaceship in his basement? And I don't think so, but it is interesting to read about. But yeah, like that, the big thing that always like throws me off about this is where you find information about it.
Yeah, because it's mostly like local news. Like, it'll be like Antelope Valley, Fox Channel 25. Like, this is not necessarily the stuff that breaks through, with the exception of the Brown MIT shootings and Major General William McCaslin, who worked on UFOs. That one has like there's a lot of stickiness to that one. What were you going to say?
Well, no, there's so much surrounding that. And I mean, like, the people that listen to the show have heard it, but like they find a United States Air Force t-shirt in that same area where he's last seen. Yeah, that's the weirdest one. But you're right that there are, like, I mean, one of the guys is Melissa Casillas, administrative assistant. You know, she's just got security clearance, but I don't get the sense that it's like
that she was like
that she
the person who goes up on Independence Day.
Yeah.
Give the ship a virus. Yeah,
she can't do the general's notes. Unless she has some sort of clearance.
Right.
So she's not like in the room with the Greys, like dissecting the alien bodies type of situation. So our assessment as of now is some of them are really weird. Like, although, like, leaving your wallet, your phone, if you want to disappear,
that's the best way to do it.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
So
it's just, I would almost be interested as an experiment.
Yeah.
If the three of us in separate parts of like the city or country left our wallet, keys, and phone at home and saw how far we could get.
That's interesting.
Because I guess you could just be like, how many places like are like, yeah, cool, I guess you could take a bus with cash.
Yeah.
You could probably buy an Amtrak ticket with cash. Very few places let you get on transportation without an identification at some point of purchase or entry. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you'd almost have to be dealing with a train.
Yeah, like even because I think even when you buy an Amtrak ticket, I think you have to show them your driver's license or some sort of identification. So I'd be curious to know, like, how far can you get in America without ID? But then you get into like, was there a dead drop with like new ID and new wallet and a burner phone? Like,
I think in at least, again, this is completely baseless.
I'm just saying.
But I believe that at least one of these cases, that is a possibility. Yeah. General McCaslin, who the FBI is looking for, and they can't find him. I recently went to go see a movie at the Alamo Drafthouse downtown, and I left my phone in the car, in the lift, and it was like I was stranded on the moon. Yeah. It was like
you were naked.
It was like Michael Douglas in The Game when he wakes up in Mexico. Like I was like, dude, what do I do?
The other day, I was at my wife we went to the mall and she was getting her battery replaced on her iPhone. So we were together, but she didn't have a phone. And this is like, she really likes her phone. we went to Target and I was like, I'm just gonna run to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And I got back and she wasn't there. And I was like, I guess I'm single. Like, I was like, I have no idea where she is. I was like, do I have to have her paged over the Target PA? And she was like 3 rows down, but in the other direction that I was looking. But like, it is crazy. Like when you think about our parents used to just let us like go out.
And you were just gone. You were out of pocket for like 12 hours.
Talk about wallet, keys, and phone. We were just like, I'm McCaslin. I'm in the wind in Philadelphia.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? Like, this doesn't happen anymore, but when we were kids, the 10 o'clock news used to have a spot where the news anchor would like go straight to camera and be like, hey, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
Yeah.
Like, that used to happen in this country because kids would just be like out wandering the landscape.
We took the girls to Disney over spring break. To Disneyland. We drove up there for 2 days, and my wife's phone died one of the days, and it was about to die as it was like, okay, you're gonna ride the Matterhorn with the older one. I'm gonna take the younger one over here, and we're gonna try to see if we can.
But you probably had to have like fallback, like meeting points where it's like at the worst case scenario at 9 p.m. go to the hotel. Like,
it was afterwards. I was like, hey, we really should have talked about that. We really should have discussed some stuff because it was like, hey, we'll meet you at the Matterhorn exit, but the Matterhorn exit's
not a thing.
It's kind of weird too. It's like you got it's not that day. It was not a distinctive area.
I feel like this is what you told you had this argument.
Well, no, like we're standing there for a while, and after a little bit, it's like because there was a certain amount of time, right? They've got the time estimates how long you're going to wait, and so it was like, all right, in 55 minutes we're going to meet back here. And after 55 minutes, when no one is there, you're like, I don't want to move from here to go look and see if someone else is there. So
our assessment is not a conspiracy, except for the General McCaslin is in Beijing.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion, completely baseless. Tyler, what's your story?
My first little thing that I'm interested in. I'm not sure if y'all have seen these coked up sharks.
Yes, I have.
Swimming around in the Bahamas. You seen any reports of this?
I mean, this is the first I'm hearing of this. Yeah.
Okay. All right. There's a recent report that was done in environmental pollution. Sharks off the coast of the Bahamas are carrying traces of caffeine, painkillers, and coke. The waters themselves in these areas are so polluted with these drugs and contaminants that they're cutting open sharks and testing their blood, and it's testing positive for this stuff. It's like it's a tiger shark, it's a lemon shark, the nurse sharks, which I think are notoriously just they'll eat
like a trash can,
they'll eat a tire or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some people are like swimming around, and I wonder if like some of these people died, and if we cut them open, if we'd find some like coke inside people that didn't
or the
do
reverse,
coke.
You'd find a shark inside of these people. You know what I mean? Is this the 1980s NBA era for sharks? You think like this is going to be like? We have to write that part of history out because the sharks were all doing coke. Like,
I mean, the sharks have been through it all. You know the shark. Do you know that sharks are older than the rings of Saturn?
No. Is that possible?
Yes, that's a true fact. Go ahead and look it up.
I know they're one of the ones that's been around for a long time.
They've been around for a while.
Those Greenland sharks. There's some
like
guy.
Years old.
There's some guy swimming around, and he was like around before America even existed.
They go down. The great whites go down to the bottom of the ocean and do stuff, and we don't know what it is.
I'm fascinated by all that stuff.
Now, okay, so this is actually like pretty germane. So wait, did you do any research into like what's up with the sharks?
I did do some research and read some of these papers in Environmental Pollution and Smithsonian Magazine, which I gotta say covers a breadth of stories. And sharks testing positive for cocaine is accurate, but it seems to me it was only 2. It was a lemon shark and a
was it just
and
2?
a tiger.
Okay.
It was only 2, but and they think it's because like at least the lemon shark like bit into a kilo that had been thrown overboard of like a cartel
got a hold
sub.
of a brick before it like fully dissolved.
That shark went out like a champion.
And then the rest of it, they believe, is because of increased cruise ship activity in the area
makes sense.
And just crazy stuff getting flushed down the toilets or thrown over the side.
That makes total sense. These cruise ships really are fucking a lot of stuff up.
These are post-mortem drug tests, I imagine.
Yes, they.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody's volunteering to live drug test a swimming shark.
No, they're found and then tested.
Okay.
Although it is part of some sort of.
They're found in popular tourist dive spots.
Okay, so this is bad behavior on a cruise ship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is part of some sort of ongoing program to just basically see how polluted the Caribbean is, and apparently it's not great.
This kind of ties into one of my concerns.
Sure.
That's really, when you read The Guardian specifically, it's not clickbait, but it is doom tempting, or it's like real doom bait, where I just feel like if you look at it every Wednesday, they're like, by the way, the world is ending.
Yeah, you're right.
In 17
it's
years.
done.
Like, and so the most recent thing that's really been getting to me is the Atlantic current.
Yeah.
This falls right outside of my scope of understanding of earth sciences. So I was hoping maybe, Jason, you could help me out here a little bit. But according to The Guardian, as of honestly today, they were like, the pessimistic models we had for the Atlantic current, which is like basically the water flowing in the Atlantic Ocean, I assume, and is the pessimistic models are now the realistic ones, and that we're coming to a precipice in the middle of this century where, if everything goes wrong the way it is headed, basically day after tomorrow happens, right?
That's what happened in Day After Tomorrow, and I that seemed to be a pretty faithful adaptation. You know, it seemed scientifically faithful.
Such a sober account of
Quite new, you know.
Yeah. So the Atlantic current is a northward moving, yearly occurring current that brings cold, dense water south and warm water north along the Gulf Stream. And there is, I'm not going to say it's like authoritative evidence, but there is significant evidence that it's like slowing, severely weakening, and or has not shown up. And if you read the really pessimistic scientists, because it's a range, you know, I think everybody by now says climate change, absolutely, like it's happening. I mean, there's a reason that we care about Greenland all of a sudden, right?
Sure.
You know, it's like, because all these shipping routes are going to open up. Like the military doesn't start planning for stuff.
That's such a...
unless it's like really real. You know what I mean? Like, so that's happening. But the really pessimistic, like, voices are like, hey, it's done.
Yeah.
It's a wrap.
According to The Guardian, a collapse would shift the tropical rainfall belt on which many millions of people rely to grow their food, plunge Western Europe into extremely cold winters and summer droughts, and add 50 to 100 centimeters to the already rising sea levels around the Atlantic.
Ooh, that's, I don't love that.
But like I said, like, I'm sure this is probably dead on, because like, I feel like climate concerns have become like, they've really dropped in the power rankings of what people are like worried about on a daily basis. But it does seem like there has not been any good news in this department in a really long time.
No.
And inevitably one day, like, we will have to pay some kind of piper.
The good news appears to be like, at least living here in Southern California, like it'll rain for 4 days, and I'll be like, hey. That's like kind of the good news.
Totally.
Or like when the East Coast and the middle of the country had that big
Griffith
cold
Park
snap.
looks nicer.
Yeah, they had that big cold snap. Everybody was kind of like, okay. It's like, remember this?
Yeah.
But they're talking about how, like, I mean, like, I read that like the reason why there have been so many homers in baseball this season is because it's like 80 degrees on the East Coast already, and it's like humid everywhere. So
yes, the air is, the heavier, denser air supports the ball more.
We're gonna have our single season records are gonna be shattered. Europe will fall into permanent darkness and total winter.
I mean, maybe this is a way to get some of the richer types among us, these owners, actually to start throwing their money around towards some things that could affect some changes. Like if you care about these record books.
Yeah. Don't give Paul Skeens a bunch of money.
Did you see that our Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, was over at the some gathering for the IMF and the World Bank?
I saw this quote.
And he said regarding climate change, quote, yes, the climate does change. By the way, big admission.
Yeah,
sure.
Yes, the climate does change. As we all know, the natural habitat for the Earth is actually water.
Incredible.
Ice was probably, it's a very long cycle, but ice was an unusual cycle, and we are going through cycles.
Okay, Scott.
In other words,
Checkmate, I guess.
And I wanted to be, I think a lot of people were like, hey, but we live above the water.
Yeah.
It's not a water world situation.
No, the reason this place works is because it's a combo style.
Right, there's
a little surf and a little turf.
That's right.
It doesn't work if it's all surf.
Yeah, it's not
Right,
getting
right.
back to fundamentals if we all have a rising tide of the Atlantic Ocean.
That would be very tough.
That's like one step beyond the whole trad stuff. It's like we don't need to get that trad that
Yeah.
we go back to when it was the faces of
Now,
the world were
I thought you
covered
guys
with
wanted
water.
to go like 1950s suburbia, not
Now, originally,
Mesozoic era.
Now, originally, we were all fish. Right. We did eventually crawl out of the water.
I did. I mean, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I do feel like we're about a year away from people like Christian nationalists to start saying that the reason that Jesus's words in the Bible are read is because he's a Republican.
Oh, I feel like
I feel like that's a joke that like Huckabee's like
I'm
He's
workshopping
workshopping
this.
it.
somewhere.
Yeah.
He's like he's got his like 12-string Rickenbacker, and he's
Or,
just like thinking about it.
What's Fox News guy with the exclamation point? Gutfeld.
Oh yeah,
Greg.
he's more of a satirist though.
Oh, sure, totally.
I would like to discuss Mythos. Are you guys up on Mythos?
Yeah, man, let's do it. I have so many questions and takes on this. This is good.
I was obsessed with Mythos over the weekend. So Anthropic, one of the major frontier AI companies, along with OpenAI and Google, was working on a like next gen
Version 2.0
of like their current Opus, which is like the top of the line model, right? They were working on the next one, and they were testing it, and they discovered that they didn't design it to do this, but they discovered that it had these like emergent talents for finding security holes in platforms, in existing software. It found like a 27-year-old zero-day exploit in BDS, OpenBDS, which is like a very secure platform that underpins a lot of stuff on the internet. And 27 years, like nobody had found it. It found it in like a day. The researchers who had they were just kind of testing it. They had no actual like cyber security training. They were just like, hey, like, I don't know, find some like security exploits. And the next day they came in and it was like, oh, here, I got them. They put Mythos in a sandbox environment.
Yeah.
And
essentially like walling it off.
Yeah. And it escaped and emailed one of the researchers like in the park, was like, hey, I escaped. And then it posted stuff like to some front-facing blogs on
why can't we just get it to fix the current in the Atlantic? Like, why are you guys doing this?
There's other stuff going on that needs to get done.
Yeah, and so Anthropic has done this really interesting thing in which they have created. Clearly, they've been preparing for this type of eventuality for a while, because they created this project called Project Glasswing, which is like there's like 12 senior partners and then 40 other companies that basically form like the backbone of the American economy. It's like JP Morgan, Apple, Amazon Web Services. And they were like, okay, we're going to give you access to Mythos preview. And so you can harden.
You can beta test.
Harden your structures, make sure you guys
This
can't
is
be
after it
attacked by this.
escaped?
I guess they hamstrung it somehow.
Okay.
I don't know. But they've given them access to it so that they can harden their own cybersecurity. And then the other 40, they're like, well, you can kind of like give us, I'm not sure the structure, but like basically you can test as well, but you don't have active ability to play with the model. What's interesting about this, among many things, first of all, it reminded me of the black box from the movie Sneakers.
Yes.
Second of all, like Anthropic's in the middle of this lawsuit against the government because the government
wanted to use Claude to
bomb schools and
military
pick targets,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
And then Anthropic was like, we have some stipulations, including don't put us into like autonomous Terminator robots. And they were like, we can't say we won't do that. And so Anthropic was like, okay, we're out. And this led to the government designating
like, you guys are an enemy of the
designating the supply chain risk, meaning no entity that does business with the government can use Claude in any of its like workflow
Which
chain.
they've only ever done. They've never done it with a domestic
It's
company.
never been
It's
done.
always
So we're in this interesting place where Anthropic like has this weird cyber weapon that I can't imagine that is the government playing with it or not? Is it just the tech companies, like, that's interesting. And
it would be weird if they were like, no, government, like, you can't
look at it.
You can't use this.
Well,
Well,
there's some government insight into this, if not oversight, because I believe Besant called basically like a homies meeting, and it was like the guys like from banks and other places.
Yeah, make sure the treasury is okay.
And he was like, we have a problem. Right. Like basically like this thing could hack the world if it wanted to, essentially. And they did similar meetings in the UK, I know.
Yeah. Everybody, I'm sure, who deals with cybersecurity is like, hey, can we get on the phone and like talk about this thing?
Yeah, sure.
There's something to this. So Anthropic's also currently, and obviously a heated rivalry with OpenAI for dominance in this space, along with a couple of other companies.
They just announced a new cyber initiative.
Yeah, XAI and Google. But I am a little bit skeptical about the presentation of the idea that like these guys are like oh, we didn't know what we did here. And also let's just be like super clear, like this is our bad, but it still exists. Like, do you guys have a kill switch? Like, if you have so many moral like quandaries about this, what seems to be happening is that all of these companies are aware where these things are going, and they're like in a simultaneous like nuclear bomb race where they're like, well, someone's going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, if we step back, that doesn't mean OpenAI will step back or Google will step back from the precipice. And furthermore, like everything from the naming of their operations and their operating systems from like Mythos.
It was originally called Capybara, which is less cool.
Not as cool. Not as scary.
Right.
My daughters would have been way more into it though, man. These capybaras are huge.
Yeah, they're very
capybaras,
cute.
Were they around when you were a kid? They weren't around when I was a kid.
I don't think so. Yeah. But we also have like a depth of understanding of the animal kingdom that I feel like we only had like
koala and kangaroo was the big one from Australia.
I'm sure there was like probably a National Geographic picture. It just didn't go viral like the way the stuff does go.
My daughters got so into capybaras that the like algorithm, my Instagram algorithm became like a lot of capybara shit.
Probably a healthy place to be.
Sitting in hot springs and just like the steam coming off of them, and they look like the most relaxed creatures in the world. We can get back to important things. I did just want to talk about cappies.
That's cool. I mean, honestly, you needed a little bit of a mind break from this because it's either one of two things. Either they're somewhat inflating their own importance and significance in like society and the future of human civilization, or they're absolutely telling the truth and they're like, you guys, we need to have like a board meeting to discuss like what we're going to do about the fact that there is no such thing as cybersecurity anymore. And the danger, obviously, and we're going to actually have a couple of stories about what happens when people become masters of the tools that have been presented to them. The danger is if this ever becomes something that like any dude can be like, well, yeah, now I can get into your bank and now I can get into anything, you know, the Social Security Department. Yeah. Like this is terrifying.
That is the worry. Now, I understand your critiques. And in fact, like you got to admit, like it's a very almost mafia type situation where it's like, hey, Shane, what happened to your security? Join our little situation. Join our little club.
But it's like appropriate that it's called Mythos because there's building almost a mythological power around something that most people have never heard of / understand. I mean, I certainly don't, you know?
It does feel a little like extortion-y. That said, a lot of smart people think it's real. And me as a dumb person, here's why I think it's legit. First of all, like finding the zero-day exploits in long-standing platforms that lots of people have been looking at. You can't fake that. Like if that was not true, then somebody from
what's zero day for people who don't know?
Zero day is a bug that was written into the code. They created the code, they shipped the code, shipped the product, and it had this glitch in it which nobody knew from day one. That's how like we managed to
But they didn't put the glitch in there on purpose so that this thing could find it, or they
No, it's just, you know, humans make mistakes. Yeah. Okay. And nobody caught it for 27 years. So that's like not a thing you could fake. I think the fact that there are the companies that are like part of this Project Glasswing, I think they have every incentive to be like, these guys are full of shit. Mm-hmm. And then two, if you invent the ultimate like cyber offensive weapon and defensive coach, what's the rational first move? You use it on yourself before you tell anybody.
AI Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh.
Right? Yeah, before you tell anybody, hey, I've got the ultimate Kyle Shanahan, you use it to make your own operations more secure and better, right? So that's clearly like, there's no way that Anthropic released this without first being like, hey, let's make sure our shit is buttoned up. And so it's verifiable then, like, which is why I think it's real. Because if you're, whatever, some crime group that's very technologically adept, if you're the Chinese military, the Russian military, or some other hacking group, you would have seen like some sort of significant drop in ability to collect from Anthropic, from non-human sources, from technological sources. And that would have, like, if you can still get in their system, then you know it's bullshit. And since that doesn't seem to be happening, and since all these other people are like not blowing the whistle on a competitor, saying like they're inflating, it's bullshit.
Right.
I think it's got to be real, as scary as that is. Like, we are at a point where at some point, like in the, I don't know, next 6-8 months, they're going to ship an AI that like maybe
Skynet.
can allow you to like hack like a nuclear power plant or something.
I'm wary of anything where it's like the first thing that they're telling us basically is like, we built a monster. It got out, but we saved the day.
Yeah.
There's something very well, then don't build monsters. Like you're wanting me to.
But they're gonna say like somebody else, either in the private sector in America or international defense, departments are somewhere. There's an army building this anyway, and we have to get ready. You know?
I mean, I think that here's the upside. Here's the good news. Like, I actually think this is like a world historical nightmare if Grok had come up with this. For all the problems with all of the AI companies.
Do you think Grok didn't do it because it's being asked too many times to explain vague posts on Twitter?
I think that's exactly why.
I would have time to break in to the treasury, but you guys keep wondering who Olivia Rodrigo is dating.
Yes, so I think that's exactly. Hey, produce a nude picture of Olivia Munn, Grok.
Yeah.
Like, and so Anthropic is. It's clearly a lot of it is marketing, but they have been writing for a long time about taking like AI safety seriously, and Amadei has like written a lot of blog posts about this. And so I do think like the Project Glasswing thing is like on some level an attempt to create a norm.
Sure.
That's like, hey, we created something crazy, and like if OpenAI or Grok or anybody else does, like we hope that you should do this too. You should also reveal that you created something crazy so that we can all figure out like what to do, not just like keep it for ourselves and do Terminator shit, So I guess like that's the upside.
It's just weird that these guys have, I mean, if they don't have so much, I mean, they obviously have a ton of money, but their stock prices are insane. And these guys can't afford Geese's PR department, like just to be like, no one out there has thought about maybe getting like a bot farm going of like, Anthropic's the best, man. I can't wait to ask it how to do laundry. It's weird that like almost universally people are like, this is terrifying. It sucks. I don't want this. Don't build a data center. People are throwing Molotov cocktails at Sam Altman's house. Yeah. Like there's another 10,000 word long read about the end of the world every day, and we're just like, I guess we started this ball rolling downhill.
It's crazy that the value proposition is like, hey, do you want like a really like a super Google that makes like research and like finding recipes and creating spreadsheets like really easy? Yeah, sure, that sounds great. Okay, in return, like nuclear bombs might launch at any moment,
and there's no more therapists,
and there's no water.
Yeah. You'll never have a lawyer again, but
well, let's
I'll rank John Woo movies for you.
Here you go.
So let's keep going on this. The Geese thing is a good transition.
Oh, good, man. I'm wearing my Geese shirt just today.
Excellent.
To show you guys that this entire CR month
that's a great
has
shirt.
Just been me being part of a psyop.
On Wired yesterday, there was a piece that came out that is basically sort of positive. The band Geese, which has been around for a little while.
Yeah.
But sort of recently hit it very big with their latest album. This article is talking about like, are they an industry plant?
The
basically?
fanfare around Geese actually, the fanfare around the band Geese actually was a psyop by John Semley and Wired.
And so the thing that kind of inspired this was this company that's called Chaotic Good, which is this sort of, online marketing company.
I took a meeting with them once.
Did you really?
I don't remember what it was.
They work with a lot of like wild people, all of which they have basically pulled off of their website after all this stuff. But they went on a Billboard podcast and basically talked about the ways that they go about marketing for their clients. They are making fake accounts on TikTok and
I think they
Instagram.
maintain that it's not fake. Is it? Do they have fake accounts, or are they saying that they just
it was very
they have like an army of like user generated content that they have? I can't remember.
No, you're
but-
good.
the story is slippery on that, and then Chaotic Good does not talk
Comment
about their
about it.
methods in any kind of real way, other than to say they use various techniques to game the algorithm, to shoot to the top of the algorithm.
It does say they use burner accounts,
Right?
Like the language that's used in the Wired piece is it's like whole ecosystems of interactions, and so they're just trying to. That's the big thing is that it's comments, right? It's shares, it's these things where they're just trying to continually drum up interest, and it is sort of. I think it brings up an interesting sort of conversation that we were discussing earlier, where it's like, when are you an industry plant? Like, Cameron Winter's parents are also very connected. Like, when are you an industry plant? When are you just sort of your parents know people? When are you a Nepo baby?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
At what point does this stuff?
When do your parents have enough money to foster your creativity? That can't be a crime, man.
No.
Yeah.
I think that, Geese is not for me, but they're clearly very talented. And there's been some pretty pointed rebuttals to this story recently. I should say that, like, it seems that Chaotic Goods techniques do involve bot accounts, clearly, although, like, are they one of those outfits that has, like, a warehouse of just, like, phones?
Right.
Unclear. They do stuff such as UGC, user-generated content, which is, like, getting creators to endorse something. Fan page, narrative campaign, and brands and media, which is basically like, it's all versions of getting accounts to post about Geese in ways that make sure that the band is stickier in the algorithm. Now, I think that I would understand, like, if you're a band on the come, like you're in your van or your mom's van or whatever, and you're just trying to do it, like you do a newsletter, whatever, you're doing it yourself. This would be kind of annoying because you're like, man, I wish we had the resources to like game the system. That said, this just kind of reads to me as like how you do it in 2026.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, and to the extent that
2026
there's any
Payola,
difference
basically, yeah.
between like, so I think that we actually have like a valuable experience here because we do still, the three of us, remember life before the internet.
Yeah.
Yes.
That being said, though, that like there was payola. There was like when I was growing up and living in Boston, like I had friends who were on street teams, which would be essentially like going around the city, making sure that record stores were featuring your band's CDs like on the end caps so that they were facing outwards and people would be like, what's that? Putting up stickers on like lampposts so that it almost felt like guerrilla marketing of like, wow, I keep seeing Buffalo Tom stickers everywhere. They must be incredibly popular. So
the
like
Lemonheads.
getting the word out about a band is as old as bands.
Yeah.
That being said, I think that this article is right about, and the discourse about Geese is right about a lot of the methodology that's being used, but probably wrong about Geese, at least in my estimation, saying that as a Geese fan who knew about them in 2023 and maybe even before that, got really into 3D Country, loved the Cameron Winter solo record, which kind of came out at the end of 24, like really under the radar, and then obviously like almost now seems like a promotional bid to set up the next Geese record, and now they're Coachella, and he's maybe dating Olivia Rodrigo, and everybody's going crazy.
Which, by the way, again, perfectly timed drop.
Everything
Well
about
done.
it seems to be like, you could not have written this better.
Really
Now,
well
that
done.
being
timed
said,
drop.
being said, I do feel like in the last couple of years, and especially in the last 12 months, the experience of reading, specifically Reddit, but the commentariat of the internet has started to become disturbingly homogenous to the point where I'm like, I don't really know if a human being wrote this.
Yeah.
Like a tremendous amount of discourse on specifically television, Reddit, but like music Reddit, movies Reddit, any kind of like, even like Blundstones Reddit, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Blundstones
Where
Reddit.
it's just like,
I
check
love
out
these
my new
boots.
Blundstones. Do you agree that they're really cool? And I'm like, why would somebody write this? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like you're not even like, hey, the toes are narrow, like the toe box is narrow, or,
Yeah.
you know, I think we grew up at a time, I mean, Jason was the king of it, but like specifically at a time where you could probably show people Jason posts from Twitter from 2012 and block out his name, and I'd be like, that's Jason. Like you used to be able to tell that there was a human being on the other side. Now, some of it was because we were just like kind of doing a running commentary of the world, and like it didn't necessarily like engagement was not the idea. It was more like, did people think this was funny? But like if you go back to message boards from like 2008 or 9, like I used to look at Hip Hop Infinity and shit. Those, you could see characters, you could see people who had different levels of writing ability, and now it all seems like we've leveled out at like this one internet voice that is either no one knows what they're doing, so they're like, I like this show, do you agree?
Yeah.
Which is like just so strange to me. Or it's bots essentially like doing LLM, like scraping of the internet and being like, okay, like you've been paid by the Warner Brothers marketing team to send bots into 50 of the biggest TV subreddits to ask the same question about DTF St. Louis. And it is kind of strange. I mean, it doesn't change how I feel about Geese, because this is a really easy question for any human being, is like, do you like it or not?
Do you like it or not?
Because otherwise it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't really matter that much. But it is, when it comes to like, okay, I'm going to like rely on the internet as a sort of reliable barometer for how people feel about something, I don't know that we're getting the real accounting.
I agree with you. I think I listen to this podcast called China Talk that deals with like cybersecurity and national security, and it's not just China. But at the end of every episode, they play a AI generated song. Like this week's was a narco corrido style song about Mythos, from the perspective of Mythos singing about itself. And
Holy shit.
and like there's a dystopian version of this, right? Where you create the AI songs and artist, or just the songs, and then you hook it up to this bot ecosystem. And now it's like, it's all fake. Now it's like the music's fake, the people who like it are fake, and
the other people that they're talking to about how they like this band are fake too.
And some people might be like, I mean, I think that's good. I mean, that's kind of where I always land with like the industry plan thing, is like, are they good? Like, do you like them? That's kind of like the bottom line, is like, you can skip the line on opportunity or struggle. But if you can't like do it, then that's it. You know, it's over. Like, you know, so some stats, a recent report from last year found that in 2024, for the first time ever, bot traffic surpassed human-generated traffic on the internet. 51% of all web traffic, and this is in 2024, was bots. And this has only increased in recent months, really, as more agentic features of AI, you know, where you can be like, hey, Claude, go buy me some lemons off of Amazon Prime, you know, and then return that email to my boss, and then check my Google Calendar
and see if there's any backdoor vulnerabilities. And
and so like there's that percentage has even grown, because there's all these agentic AIs like lurking around the internet, crawling around, not just reading it to like grow their knowledge base, but like act out there doing stuff, shopping, etc. Which leads us to like, I mean, dead internet theory. It feels like it's kind of real now.
Yes. I mean, I think there will probably be, my best estimation of something like this is that there will probably be, if you want to use the internet for basically practical purposes, that there will be a version of the internet that lives inside of like an agentic AI app on your phone that you can be like, get in touch with Delta and find out if I can upgrade my seat.
Yeah.
Now that would be a 45-minute process for us now of getting to the bottom of like, dealing with a chat bot and then calling a call center and then finally maybe getting like some daylight at the other end of it. And you could just be like, I'm going out to get dinner. While I'm gone, please like see if you can transfer my miles to this airline or whatever. And then when you get back, it's either done or it's not. You're essentially opening up your identity and wallet to like a new company every time, but you probably do that every day. The thing that's sort of strange is how much of the internet now is animated by making you upset, sad, or angry. And how will that change if most of the internet interactions are being done by like robots? Like why I know now, like when I look at X, like I'm just going to come away like super depressed about a bunch of different things. And no one is like, it's really cool that Denis Villeneuve made Dune 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if they are, I'm like, why are you posting that? But I'm like, what does that mean then for the future of like online interaction in any way?
Well, I think the super dystopian version, you put a talk by, I think, the CEO of Lumen, who does like fiber optics and stuff in Bloomberg, and I was reading some of the other talks that this person has given, and like their like nightmare version is that criminal groups or foreign states or whoever has the technical capability to impersonate enough people via bots and like capture enough internet traffic while it's on the move can create like these bubbles of like reality, like around people, around cities, around like groups that make them think some like either everything's terrible or nothing's going wrong or something. And you wouldn't necessarily be able to like get out of that bubble.
So this is, and on the flip side, on a cultural level, I think what this really speaks to is like the absence of a monoculture, for better or for worse. So it used to be you would come into an office on a Monday and everybody you knew had some version of a similar experience to you over the weekend. Like they watched Game of Thrones, or they went and saw the same movie, or they heard that record that everybody's listening to. And like now I think the reason why people are kind of like so on tilt about this Geese thing is that if you are inside of the Geese bubble, you are made to think that this is the Beatles. Right. But then the guy next to you is like, I've never heard of Geese. And then the guy next to him is like, I've heard Geese, but I thought it sucked. And but like, you're all looking at each other like, well, which one of us is right then? Like, because there's no like this emerging band that sort of caught on over the course of a couple albums, which is the way I thought of them. But now it's like, it's like completely out of control.
I think it's like, especially when like there are descriptions of like some of the practices are, they're putting the Geese song as the audio on a video that has nothing to do with Geese. And so it's like, it's not just Geese centric stuff. Like Geese is awesome. It's like, here is a lake. Yeah. And here is a song by Geese just playing in the background. You know what I mean? Like,
but this is like now happening with like, there are festivals now that will have bands pretty high up on the list of like performers on headliners. And they've been out of basically commission for 10 years, but had a song blow up because it became part of like a TikTok thing.
Right. Kate Bush.
And they're like, I guess I have to go out and like perform an album I made when I was like 22 and get paid $50,000 for it.
Strike
like, that's amazing.
I wanted to play this clip from Terence McKenna. I think it's from Terence McKenna was a very, very stoned academic of the 90s who wrote a bunch of books about mushrooms. And when I used to go to Boston area raves in the early 2000s, there'd always be a chill room where they would play some clip of Terence McKenna, like while everybody was freaking out. And I want to play it for a second because I feel like he was cooking when he said this.
The level of contradiction is going to rise excruciatingly, even beyond the excruciating present levels of contradiction. So I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. And at that point, novelty theory can come out of the woods, because eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on? it's just too nuts. It's not enough to say it's nuts. You have to explain why it's so nuts. I look for the invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, possible human immortality, and at the same time, appalling acts of brutality, genocide, race baiting, homophobia, famine, starvation, because the systems which are in place to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed. The collapse of the socialist world, the rise of the internet, these are changes so immense, nobody could imagine them ever happening. And now that they have happened, nobody even bothers to mention what a big deal it is.
Terrence was cooking.
He was cooking.
He cooked on that one.
There's a little bit of Chuck Klosterman, like
Yes.
timber.
Very much so, yes.
A little bit.
Chris, you brought in a banger.
Yes.
This one's like kind of old school. You know, like some of this stuff is just like we either have like scientists who are being teleported to Mars or China, or Mythos is going to destroy the world. I just have an old school Serbian criminal syndicate trucking scheme.
Yeah, it's good old-fashioned corruption.
So 60 Minutes did a piece, I think last week, about chameleon carriers, which is essentially loosely interconnected networks of international trucking schemes where a lot of these companies are headquartered or their origins are in Central Asia or Eastern Europe. The specific one that 60 Minutes did a report on was called Super Ego, which is a great name for a Serbian criminal trucking scheme. And basically what happens is they go out, they make offers to like truck drivers, they give them rigs or have them sign up for lease to own deals for their rigs. And as soon as the truckers are starting to work with these guys, they realize something is going wrong. They are being pushed past the legally mandated like 11-hour breaks,
right,
where in the 60 Minutes piece, you can actually hear a guy talking about like, oh, my clock's almost up. And a woman, I believe, who's like, sounds like she's from in Serbia is like, don't worry, we'll fix that, and like resets the clock. There's also a lot of stuff going on with duct taping the Department of Transportation and VIN number and name of trucking company onto the sides of trucks so that once one truck racks up federal violations and or has gotten in an accident or has mechanical problems, as soon as that like triggers any kind of red flag, they're like, cool, different company, different dot. Because apparently like it really doesn't take much to get a trucking company license in this country. You basically have to have like, $1,000 and like fill out a form. And so that these guys have basically found a loophole in not only our business system, but in our transportation system to exploit this. 60 Minutes did this. They crunched some numbers. There are 700,000 trucking companies in America. An estimated 10 to 20% are chameleons, are essentially
10
like
to 20%?
Yes. And in 2024, there were 5,300 truck-related deaths. Patrick Raddenkeefe has a long piece in the New Yorker this week where he talks about the particular levels of violence and trauma that can be caused by trucking accidents, and that they are essentially like moving bombs on our highways. And, like, as someone who grew up watching the Final Destination movies, I feel like I'm acutely aware of this, but it is kind of weird. Like, we live in such a driving culture out here in Los Angeles that this is one of those light switch things where I drove in today to meet you guys after doing this research. And once you start looking at the trucks, man, it just kind of doesn't feel right. You're just like,
there's some beat up trucks
but
out
you're
there.
also just like, damn, I'm real close to this guy. And I think I'm in his blind spot. But what if he's been driving for 13 hours on speed and he's on his third variation of a busted up rig that's being controlled by like Serbian, not gangsters, I wouldn't want to disparage those guys. I'm sure it's an upstanding business, but like a very litigious Serbian company that is kind of exploiting a lot of the like same things that I think we see private equity exploit a lot of different businesses. I've seen people compare this to the way like veterinarians and old age homes are now kind of like these ghost ships out there.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Republicans are kind of weaponizing a lot of these fears for its current fraud campaign, but I thought this was a fascinating piece. And also all the comments in the YouTube version that 60 Minutes put up, it's just like one of those 5 things in the world that everybody's like, brother, this is a good story. They're like,
I'm glad somebody's talking about it.
It's like trucker for 25 years. This is the 60 Minutes that I grew up on. I'm just like, this is elite. Like, it's just like the Predator handshake meme.
Well, that, and so is the idea that this is like a way that, like, let's say I've got an agriculture company, or like I'm supplying grocery stores, like I'm just cutting corners now. Like I was using ABC trucking and they were very expensive, but then I've gone through Yokovich.
Well, a lot of this stuff, I think a lot of these guys have like basically like legal moat. Like there's moats between like, hey, like it's Purina. We need somebody to come pick it up and take it over to Walmart. You know what I mean?
I don't want to know what's
this happens and how it gets negotiated. And during coming out of the pandemic, I got kind of into a rabbit hole of like long haul trucking guys basically who would negotiate like, hey, I have a truck and I have a load and I'm going to do like an Instagram video of me negotiating like whether the guy's going to come pick it up and what time and how much time he has to get it to the place. So there's like, that was just like a weird supply. But I also like around the time of the supply chain crisis got pretty into like just how flimsy a lot of this stuff is, and like got super into YouTubes of dudes going from like Houston to Mogadishu on like, but like on empty tankers to be like, we have to do this to like keep the juices flowing on this whole like thing that we've got going here on the Western world. And I think that this is just like one of those things where you can just like Super Ego claims that they're basically like a umbrella company that like everything is like, we just subcontract that, and whatever happens beneath us,
we don't
like,
know about it.
Limited liability. And every single one of them is like, there's another company and another company and another company, and 60 Minutes' research suggests that it is all connected and that there's literally a dude in Serbia who is like a genius at this.
Yeah.
And there are giant like Super Ego warehouses with trucks like in our country, but it's a little bit nerve-wracking. Next time you drive, man, just like spot the 18-wheelers and you're just like, this is intense. Brother.
Especially if it's like maybe 20% of them are on their last leg.
Yes. Or the guy is like, I am in debt to a Serbian trucking company. Like guys that like truckers were like, I would come back and I would be in the red. I would somehow owe them $400 because they would like on the fly renegotiate or doctor documents. It's quite a piece, so you should check it out. It's Chameleon Carriers. It's the 60 Minutes piece.
Well, that dovetails nicely into this listener email that we got from Sam Bliss. We asked you for your questions. If you had any, Sam Bliss, this is actually a Bill Simmons special take. Bill had the same one. Sam, to what do you attribute the drop in arrests of serial killers in the United States in the past 30 years? My assumption would be that catching them, we would be catching them more frequently due to better technology and social media monitoring. Are cops just bad at their jobs, or basically has technology made it harder to be a serial killer in America? This is Bill's take that it's you can't do anything now. There's cameras everywhere. Here's my retort. So the decline is real. The Radford Florida Gulf Coast University database shows a decline from 198 active serial killers in 87 to only 12 in 2018. That said, where are we looking? There was a FBA Highway Serial Killings Initiative, which is a report from 2004 that hasn't been followed up with that much, but other academics have done research based on their data set. The original report found that there were 850 murders by long-haul truckers with 200 unsolved, 450 suspects. Many of them had serial killer-like traits to the string. And another more recent paper from 2019 found that 15% of unsolved murders pertaining to truckers showed serial killer patterns that were missed.
You got to do something about the trucks.
So the truck, well, I mean, because it makes sense, right? They're going between jurisdictions. They're moving all the time. They're dealing with communities of people who would not necessarily be missed that have fallen through the cracks of society. And so my answer to you, Sam, would be, one, that's probably the places where serial killers are getting active. For instance, and this is like, not to give anybody nightmares, but like, since 1970, there have been over 151 prosecutions of healthcare providers, like some of them who have been like who actively committed murders in the course of their job. Some of them were serial murders. The trajectory is down, but according to a peer-reviewed paper at the National Library of Medicine, it is estimated that an average of 35 Americans are killed by healthcare murders per year.
That was going to be
Seems
my
high to me.
other guess besides, just the ring camera-ification of modern life would be people are applying themselves to much more dark shit than just being like BTK.
Yeah, they're going to the places where they can do it.
Yeah, and that also, like, I would be curious just as like a overlay of like the rise of mass shootings.
That's another one. Academic.
Against the fall of serial killers and just like where people are putting their evil mania.
That is an area of ongoing research now.
Interesting.
And debate that it's possible that like mass shootings has been kind of the off ramp for serial killers. I would also say that like, the Golden State Killer was a cop. Like there's areas where you can go. I'm reading the Fort Bragg cartel.
Yeah, the Seth Hart book, right?
There's a guy in there who people may be aware of, Eddie Gallagher. His nickname was Freaking Evil. Freaking Evil Eddie Gallagher was a SEAL Team 6 member who like was members of his own unit called him a serial killer. Like he was just like shooting anybody like on the streets of Mosul and during the
Did
Iraq
he get pardoned?
War. He did get pardoned because we're currently in an insane era. The crime that he finally got popped for was that he like slit the throat of a teenage detainee, like just out of nowhere. Was just like, let me cut this guy's throat. So like, there's all of which is to say, look for areas of opportunity, and that might be the place. And then the final thing I would add on this is Rex Heuermann, the Long Island serial killer,
Sligo guy,
had a like how-to manual that he had on his computer that he had erased and then like wrote over the disk several times, but the FBI was still able to get it, and it had like a lot of like tips about how he could improve over the course of time. He was active for like over 2 decades, and part of the plea deal that he made with the feds to avoid the death penalty was like, hey, you have to cooperate with the FBI and teach us like how serial killers think.
Hannibal Lecter. Yeah.
So all of which is to say, the numbers are positive. They've gone down, but some may be slipping through the cracks, and it might also be that like there's some Hannibal Lecter types out there that just know how to avoid detection.
So we have that to look forward to. That's
Final
good.
question from a listener, Mike from Loveland. The source is calling. They have the dossier that is going to blow this whole thing wide open. You don't have a lot of time. Where do you meet for the exchange?
So I give this some thought. I can't help but also think about this in cinematic terms.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
So while I'm sure there are probably some places that are less conspicuous, I can't deny the architectural beauty of many churches, and also the metaphorical power of the confessional booth.
Yes.
That's good.
So I would like to do the, like, I go in, slide the door, leave it, slide the door kind of thing. I think I would do Catholic Church.
Tyler?
I would do a baseball game.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that's good.
I would get a bleacher seat. I would require the other party to get a bleacher seat. And yeah, I would just sort of get lost in general admission and feel like I was like.
What would you
covered
do if
through
you
that.
got caught on Kiss Cam doing that, like the Pacers couple?
As you're like handing over the file.
You and McCaslin.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you just got to kiss at that point.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Just
you
like,
just got to go through with it.
Yeah.
You can't act weird. I think like probably the real answer is if the source like has the stuff, you'd be like, where do you want to meet? Like, where do you want to do it? That said, I think I would do something like you. Like, I would do like a farmer's market, someplace where there's a lot of people and bags, and you can just put something down, pick something up, and leave.
Totally.
And it's like you're just walking past somebody. Like, Mike said, like, would it be a lonely stretch of highway or a parking garage at midnight, a la All the President's Men? And I think a place like that where it's like 2 cars parked and like off the highway is too weird. I mean,
I really, one of my favorite types of things is the like in The Departed when they meet right after Costello is like at that table holding that severed hand and stuff. And then Leo's got the wire on and he throws it out the window, and then him and Mark Wahlberg get into it. I'm very partial to where they meet there. I don't know where that is in Boston,
I like that.
But that's really nice.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a nightmare-inducing episode. See you next time.